Okay, here is introduction video number 2, episode 2, and let's go back to iJewel3D. So I have here center stone, gem 1, typical. The little 2 accent stones, gem 2. Okay, I have this section here as metal 04. Oh, hey, and that's no extra charge right there. Okay, and then the setting is metal 1, as you can see. And then there's 81 objects here, and it's hard to see here, but let me just switch this. I segregated these surfaces so that they could be darker to give more attention to those surfaces. So I'll put those on metal 3, and that's what we have. Okay, because you can do just a surface. It doesn't have to be a solid model. So let's go to export. And here we are. Okay, first thing I want to do, 6 materials. Yeah, sure, go ahead. Okay. And then first thing I want to do is go over here and take the quality up to ultra so that I can see this better. Okay, so we can set this up. We'll do this real quick, and then I want to cover some of the other things over here. So let's go to metal 1, and that would be this. So edit configurator, there's those 3. All I want to do is call this center setting. All right. And then metal 2, which is here, edit configurator, and this will be just the shank. All right. And that works. And then we got to get down in here. There's a lot of shadowing down in there anyway. Metal 3 is the engraving or design background. Okay. And center setting, metal 4 is the knot. It's a Trinity knot, I think. Okay. And gem 1, boop, is the center stone, center gem. And I'm not too worried about what we can pick for this. This is fine. We've already done that. So there's that. And then the gem 2 is the accent gem. Okay. All right. So there we go. Now on the background though, I want to pick some different materials. So let's go here and edit configurator, and we can add that really dark. And that's all we got. So we're going to talk about all these locks here in a moment. We could maybe do, what's this, metal sand? Let's do that one. And metal gray. That's enough. Okay, so there we go. So if we turn the shank yellow, okay, you can see that that's bright. So engraving background, boop, there we go. That's pretty cool. I don't know, Trinity not, maybe yellow, maybe not. See what I did there? Maybe not. Okay, let's talk about some of this other stuff. What's cool about iJewel is you can have an HDR map for the scene, for the metal, right? And then you can have a different map for the gems, which is really nice. So if you don't know what an HDR map is, it's a high dynamic range image, and it's what's being reflected into the metal and into the gems to make it look shiny, okay? And so the default one is right here. So you can see up in the upper right, we're on environment. So that's the overall environment, okay? And there's that one. And then if I click here, you'll see it change. Much shinier, much more stark, okay, as far as contrast goes. Here's one with a fairly heavy horizon line, okay, like so. I don't know what that one is, but it's not bad. It's not bad at all. So you can click through. Here's a light, a camera box. It's very bright. I like the default. It's nice. And I like this metal 08. Not bad. A little more subdued, less reflections. You can tell more what's going on with the surface. And then I also like this one, which is metal 61. And that one is shinier. So you make the call. Okay, so there's that. Then if we come down here, okay, this is the HDR for the gem environment, okay, and here's the one that's default. Let's go here so we can see what's going on. All right, much more gray, less dispersion, less color in the gem, okay, as opposed to this one. And this one has what's called bloom on. Bloom is this glow, okay, that's called bloom. If we go over here, that's called gloom. Okay, so there's a little more black. I see more contrast in that one. If you want contrast, then there you go. Smack that one. We'll see what it looks like with, boop. You know, it's not bad. So otherwise, I believe this one was the default. Okay, let's talk about these locks for a minute, okay, since we're talking about HDRs and materials. Okay, so you'll notice, like I said, number one, when you start playing with iJewel, you need to make an account, okay? So right up here, I'm signed in as Kenton W. And so go ahead and make an account, and it's free to make an account. And then when you log in, you'll get some materials, okay? Now, the lock with the blue gem is like tier 1, okay? And that one is called premium, okay? And then the lock with the yellow gem is advanced, okay? So let's look at some of the price. So you can see my profile is basic, okay? So let's go over to pricing. And basic is free. You get X amount of these things. I'll let you read them. You know, you get basic gems and materials for metal and so on. Some gems have inclusions, which I think we talked about. Premium is $100 per user per year. So it's not super expensive, less than $10 a month for premium. And with that, you unlock more. It's just extended, and we talked about them. There they are. Okay, and you get more uploads. Okay, and then advanced is $500 per user per year. So still not, a very good value. Way more models that you can upload. And then unlocked custom presets. You can add your logo, so you have to be full tier to add your logo to the image. And you get these options with all three. Okay, so you can compare the plans. It's a little more explained here. Yada yada yada. Get premium, get advanced, and some FAQ action. Okay, so that's how that works. Okay, so you notice when I don't have something selected, I get these options. When I do have something selected, the options do change. Okay, let's go ahead and keep going. So there's the HDR for gem environments. Okay, so let's go down. I'm going to skip backgrounds for a moment, and I'm going to go to scene presets. So you need the playground, the other button back in the Jewel Beetle interface back here. There's the playground export, and it's got way more stuff going on. Very powerful. Different video. But if we come over, and there's some rules with setting up a scene, and it has to do with the names of what was the layer and so on. But if we come over to scene presets, okay, you'll want to notice there's actually a kind of a floor in here. I don't know if you can see it in the video. There it is down there. And then there's the actual background as well. Well, you can set up scenes. So if we come over to scene presets, okay, now this is going to change what's going on here. And so I'm going to click on the first one, okay, and there you can see the lighting changed, the contrast changed, different HDR. So that happens right off the bat. The other thing that scene did is it got rid of that square here, okay, which I'm fine with. All right. Now I don't actually have to load any of these settings. It did already apply that scene. So let's go ahead and click on this one, and there you can see it changes. Here's one that is a lot more contrasty, and man, it really killed the center stone. It's barely shining at all. So we'll go back to this one, and but you can load the camera and some of these other things and hit apply. But otherwise, without even choosing anything, you can hit apply, and I've now got that scene loaded. Well, with that scene loaded and that square gone, I can come back to backgrounds now, and here's background black, and now it's an infinite black background, okay? Or we can do, kind of this look here. I don't know, what was that called? Background 1. Tricky. Here's a nice neutral kind of bone color. Looks good with the gold, I think. So there you go. There's backgrounds and there's scene presets. Okay, and like I say, in the playground you can build your own presets. Let's go down to stages. In stages we have chain, cable, and a cube, and you can do different hand poses. Okay, so now we have a hand hanging on to our ring. And if you don't want that pose any longer, you come up here and say none, and it goes away. Okay, so there's the stages, grounds. These are different setups. Let's, what's this one called? Ground, shadow, back left. Okay, so that just loads a different shadow, and let's see, let's do ground, shadow, back right. So there's a shadow setting in the playground, okay, and there's a reflection right there with the shadow. I kind of like the default better. But anyway, there's how those work. If we didn't want that, we could come back to the scene presets and do this and come back and then go to the backgrounds and get this bone color back, and now we're back. Okay. All right, so that was grounds. Poses. I'm going to skip poses. I'm not going to mess with that. Let's jump down to export. Okay, so export, this is very handy. Let's go ahead and start at the top. You can do snapshots. So if we, let's go ahead and center this. So fit object to the scene, and then we'll zoom in a bit. Okay, and if you want a snapshot just how it is, 1920 by 1080 is my screen resolution, so it would be that big. Or you can change this. If you don't need that much, you could change this to 800 by 800, okay? And then just hit download PNG, and there it's doing the snapshot. And if I click here, it went to downloads. There's my render, if you will. Okay, so you can save that just what you see right there. Okay, and of course you could go like so and do different views. Okay, we'll close that. Download PNG. There we go. Okay, so you can do snapshots of those, no trouble there. You can save this file as a GLB file. It's going to be a mesh file, and so since we have the NURBS geometry, I don't really have a use for this unless I'm missing something, but I'll come back to it if I am. Okay, the scene settings, you can export the setup, including all the settings, the HDRs, the background, the ground, everything that we did here. You can download that as a VJSON file. Okay, that's another video, but you can set up these scenes, save them, and then you literally just drag and drop them in here, and it'll load that scene. Okay, you can do. Let me make sure. Yeah, I want to make sure I'm on Ultra. Okay, so you can also do animations, okay? So here's a turntable video, all right? 720 is the max here. So in other words, if I try to type my 800 here, the value must be at most 720, okay? So there's that. So if you wanted this to be Well, we'll just do it at this resolution. You could do it 720 by 720 if you want. 30 frames per second is typical, okay? And then I usually just jump down here to duration. 5 seconds, okay? That would be 150 frames. That would be spinning fairly quickly. Let's go 10 seconds, which, by the way, if I type a 12 here, the value can be at most 10. So 10 seconds, 300 frames. One word of warning, get this the way you want it. Don't have something selected when you go to do an animation, okay? It'll be selected the whole time in the animation. All right, so 1280, 720. Oh, since I left, I have to retype this. All right, 10. And then I'll let this roll. Let's see. Let's go download MP4. Okay, so it sits and just exports every single frame. Okay, I'll hit pause. There's no reason to sit and watch this. All right, it's coming back around. This didn't take long. It took like a minute, you know? I mean, we're just sitting here watching it do that. And then it exports the video. I mean, yeah, I think, I don't even know if it took a minute. Okay, so it's sitting there stitching that together into an MP4 file. And here it is. And there's my animation, MP4 file. I love it. All right. Let's keep going. Okay. So honestly, for this video, there's just a little more that I want to cover. So we went ahead and did export, which is here. And I'm going to skip embed settings. Brand settings we can't do without a premium account. That's where you can add a branding logo, the logo layout, and right up here you can see it says upgrade to advanced. Okay, so I'm going to skip advanced settings. I'm going to come right back to that. AR is try-on settings. Okay, AR stands for augmented reality. Okay, where you can superimpose the jewelry onto a finger, and so it's in beta. You have to turn on AR and do all this stuff. That's a different video. Okay, so let's jump over to advanced settings. All right, you can rotate the environment. Okay, if you don't like where like this shadow is or reflection, you can change that. Okay, so we rotated that environment. All right, the environment intensity, okay, is just that. We are glowing or down to nothing. I don't know where that was. I didn't look. I'll put it at 1. That feels right. Okay, fixed environment direction. SS bevel. Let me show you that. I'm actually going to load a new model. So I'm going to hit pause and I'm going to come back and cover SS bevel because that'll be it for this video. So hang on. Okay, I'm back. I'm back with a ring from a different video, and the reason I loaded a new ring is my other ring, everything was filleted, everything was super buttery smooth, and here are some prongs that were just booleaned, and there's no fillets on those, so it's kind of sharp. Okay, so maybe you can guess what I'm going to do, but if I go back to advanced settings down here and turn on SS bevel, okay, even with this slid down to 0, it does bevel it just a little bit, okay? So let's take a look here and let's slide this up. Okay, so I'm at 5.55. Also notice in here, okay, maybe we'll tilt this here, and then we slide up, and you can see it's rounding it here and here. So there you go. However much you want to do that, whatever you're comfortable with, just adds another step of realism to our render, if you will. Okay, now maybe as we were looking at this, you might go, hey, earlier you said that there was no reason, never say never, but on export it was download GLB file. So the minute that I found the bevel command and then did that to this model, I'm like, I wonder if I can export the GLB file, and now all of this is filleted. No such luck, at least not in my tests. When I exported the GLB file, which you can import into, well, shoot, let's see, might as well just do it. So you can import those into ijewel and Rhino, so therefore ijewel, but let's download the GLB. Okay, that was scene 1 GLB, okay, in my downloads. All right, so I'm going to head on back over here to ijewel, and we'll nuke this, and then I'm going to go get that file. Okay, so I'm going to drag and drop that GLB file in here, and I'll import it. Oh, I moved that. Hard-edged. So it's a mesh file. It's massive. So, like I say, I don't really need it. All right, let's go back to iJewel. Okay, so we left off here. So there's SS bevel, and when you once you do this, you can turn on all this stuff, and then when you share it, it'll be set up this way. Okay, and there you go. So there's more to it. We'll hit some videos on the playground, but there you go.